You're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with your host, D.Cal.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's D.Cal. E.I.T.H.R podcast number 1. We were having some technical difficulties initially, so apologize for that. We banged this bitch. Happy Friday to everybody who's listening to the podcast. Welcome to those who are brand new. The E.I.T.H.R podcast is the E.I.T.H.R in the room, where we discuss certain topics for people to have with their people. Do here. California, GHQ here in Northern Cali. Man, just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. Social media, you can follow the E.I.T.H.R, T-H-E, E-I.T.H.R, as well as GNS. You can check us out for our own TV station. 916-289-9072 is the number to our podcast. So if you have anything you would like to say or any topics you want up, you can go ahead and hit us up there. So for those who are new to the podcast, what we like to do is we like to give shout outs and we like to give inspirational and motivational. I just want to give a big shout out, man, to the writers that's on strike, and they're definitely trying to earn their money or whatever, man. And I know a lot of us collectively, we tend to think actors and writers and everybody like that, so on and so forth, they make all this buku money, which is cool, but there's also certain certain writers where their income is solely based on the work that they do. So if they don't get jobs or paid or anything like that, there was a video I saw where one person made like about $130 some for an episode or for a show, and then another residual check was like $36, and that was about it. Just want to give a shout out to them, and hopefully, they'll get everything situated, get everything together. So the writers and the actors and voice actors and people who are doing extras and stand-ins, stuff like that, they get compensated sooner rather than later. So I just want to go ahead and do that. Give a shout out to them, man, because they are our entertainment, but at the same time, they do have to make some type of a wage, a living wage. So, I just want to make sure I give some props to them if possible. In addition, we like to do shout outs or inspirational, motivational. That's what we do for, and on our social media, you can see this. So I'm just going to share this real quick, and I think this is very important for people to know. Saying how you feel will never ruin a real connection, right? So when you're communicating how you feel to somebody, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a friend or a companion or someone that you're close with, it doesn't have to be a significant other. Just the fact that you're communicating. Hell, it can be a neighbor, right? Just if you're communicating how you feel, man, it's never going to ruin it. If somebody takes what you're saying and turns that into a negative reaction, if you will, that's not a real friendship, right? You should be able to talk to someone about what's on your mind, what's bothering you, how you feel about something, so on and so forth, without any issue. In addition to that, to piggyback on that, also put this where, I don't know where is it. I'm going to find it. So make sure I give it to you guys right. I'm looking for this one thing that I just saw. Literally just saw it. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. Right? You cannot pour from an empty cup. It's impossible. You can't do it. Basically what that means, self-care, man. You got to take care of yourself before you take care of anybody else. Like on an airplane. When you go on an airplane, they tell you to put the mask on you before you put the mask on anybody else. Right? Common sense. So before you try to help somebody, make sure that you're making progress in the goals and whatever it is that you got in mind before you try going. Because I can tell you right now, man, a lot of people are going to, for whatever reason, look at your status. They're going to look at your situation and they're going to pose on that. Whether it's valid or not, that's just what people do. We tend to validate things based on the success that we believe a person has. So, make sure what you got going on is legit, is good enough, making progress to where at least you can say, this is where I started, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm headed. Baby steps, right? Small steps that climbs a mountain. So we're going to get into a couple of things. I think I put on the description like this new diet that I learned about. Some of you probably already know about this once I talk about it. And there's a discovery called a smart gun, and it's pretty fancy. I like it. I remember when I was looking at purchasing mine, I gave them this description of this gun that kind of is like a biometric type of handle, and the guy at the shop was like, man, that's some James Bond futuristic George Jetson. And I was like, yeah, but y'all have it though? He was like, nah, that doesn't even exist. Little did that person know it was a process in the making. They just didn't know about it. I didn't know it existed. I thought it existed. Come to find out, well, you're going to find out in a moment. It's your boy D-Cal from the E.I.T.H.R podcast here from the GNS HQ in Northern California. We're going to get a word from the sponsor real quick, and then when we get back, we're going to get right into it. You guys sit tight. Be right back.
Stop stalling and start miling. Mile.today. That's MILE.today. Mile today. Make it look easy.
All right, so this is crazy. Been heading back to the gym, for a little bit. I haven't been consistent with it, but I'm getting back into consistency with it because a body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest. And I just remember, how I felt when I used to go to the gym literally 2 to 3 times a day, all 7 days a week, 365. And I missed that feeling. So kind of working ourselves getting back into it. We got the RTS Cadence running shoes. Those help out tremendously with that. And so now it's like, okay, cool. Now we don't have any excuses, really. The gym that I got a membership to, was it Platinum Fitness? It's a cool ass gym. The problem is, in my opinion, they don't have any free weights. And without the free weights, that's kind of like my thing. I like the squat rack. I hate doing squats, but I got to get into falling in like with doing squats so I can eventually fall in love with doing squats. And everybody has that body part they hate, and many people hate doing legs. But it's embarrassing when you see someone who definitely have skipped leg day and you don't want to be that person. So, like Mike Tyson once said, you got to do what you hate but act like you love it. Do it like you love it. So there we go. Now, I was on social media and saw this video, and it gave a suggestion of a diet that I never really thought about doing. And that diet is a fruit diet. Now, what a fruit diet is, it's exactly what it sounds like. You eat fruit. Especially like the acidic type of fruits, right? And it gave a breakdown of what happens the first day. And I can tell you from experience, because I've been doing it for about 4 days. The first day, like anything else, is going to be the hardest, because that's when you're eating it, you start having your cravings, right? You start having your cravings of everything you've been eating before that. So you have to be very cautious and very mindful of what you're about to eat because of what you're currently eating. So that's going to be the main struggle on day 1. Day 2, once you get consistent with it, that's when that's when the body, like that engine starts to turn over a little bit. Like you can feel it starting to process everything the way it needs to. Don't trip, I'm not gonna get too graphic. But by day 3, man, because the natural sugars, the natural everything, the antibiotics, the natural fibers or whatever that the fruits offer your body, they basically go in and clean house of everything, right? So Walmart, I don't know about any other grocery chain. I'm sure they do. But I'm sure if you in the produce aisle, you guys seen these you've seen like these fruit smoothie type of drinks, right? They're like in a big bottle. It's strawberry, apple, cherry, all whatever. You have the green ones with the kale and the celery and the spinach, and it's like that juice stuff they got. Anyway, if you look at the color of the juice, the color tells you which part of the body that juice is good for. That's what I learned. So if it's the red juice, it's going to go typically after red body parts like your heart, and helps with blood pressure and circulation. The what was the other one? Tan kind of goes off. I can't think of the other colors that they have, but that is a chart. I'm going to see if I can find it and post it. And the green, think of that as like your digestive system. So, the drink that's green, right? So it helps with the exhaust pipe, right? So, 70% of our immune system is in our gut, and 70% is in our stomach, and most of our stomach is filled with plastics and processed food and parasite and stuff like that. So our immune system is having to hella work more than it has to. So if you flush that out, you'll start to feel better. Man, let me tell you, day 3 of the juices and everything and the fruit. Listen, I went and got like that party tray of fruit. So it's like green apples. It's like green apple slices, red apple slices. And it had some else. It had like caramel or caramel, however you want to pronounce it, as the sauce, right? So what I did, I got rid of the caramel, and I used my dipping sauce is guacamole, because avocados have like that good fat that the body needs, right? So, all right, cool. So guacamole now becomes my dipping sauce. And then if I do go with a dressing, it's ranch avocado dressing or like a ranch avocado oil. And I just pour that over the apple slices, right? So either the guacamole, I kind of dip everything in it. If I'm out of guacamole, I just put the avocado ranch. And the guacamole, if you like guacamole, it kind of makes you forget you're eating strictly just apples, because you're more focused on how good the sauce or the dipping sauce is than the fruit. So it takes your mind off of that, right? And then, I got a cooler full of water. So between the green juice and the water, your boy was good. I was good with my diet for the past couple of days. I'm gonna tell you, man, you do that, your whole system just changes. It's crazy. So if you are in the process of wanting to do like a fruit detox, I recommend you doing that. I recommend that. Doesn't take anything. If you could spend 10, 20, 30 years eating whatever you're eating, you can take 72 hours just to eat some fruit and drink some water and have some juice to clear your body out. And I'm telling you, man, the energy you get, it just feels weird. And what's more shocking to me is I do not have craving like I did on the first day. Don't do it. I don't have it. It doesn't exist. So that's good. That's really good. And I get it. People are going to probably say something like, when it comes to that, produce is expensive, which everything's expensive. But the way I look at it is the way it was taught to me, which is this. You can be cheap now with your food, and medically you'll have to spend more money later. Or you can invest more in your food, so medically you can spend less later. You choose. So, and I understand it. A lot of us, quick food, fast food, because we're constantly on the go, right? We're constantly moving from A to B, B to C, back to A. That's your routine. Daily traffic, workload, stress, all this other fun shit. I get it. But if you can just take a tray of fruit with some sauce, whatever you choose, and keep that at your desk, you don't realize how much you'll just automatically, by default muscle memory, start eating that. And I'm telling you, by day 2, you don't really think about the other food, because you're eating for a certain purpose versus eating for a certain flavor. And I saw videos of different stuff. I'm not going to get into it with you guys because I'm not trying to sell it on you. Just want to present it to you, which made it easier for me not to eat the stuff I was eating before. So, there's that. In addition, if you're trying to shed some LBSs, I saw this video on social media, and God, it makes a lot of sense, because weight retention, if you will, has a lot to do with stress, right? If you're stressed out, it throws off your hormones and it creates weight gain, because the body is just weird like that. It just processes things differently when it's under an amount of stress. So if you are stressed out, you're not going to shed the pounds you would if you were not under such duress, which is interesting. Because if you notice, there's certain people who can just lose weight like nothing. Some of it's genetic, but a lot of it too is they handle stress differently than those who have a problem losing weight. The older you get, the harder it is. So it's more important for the diet and for the stress level and the anxieties and shit like that to be under more control than normal. Man, listen, breathing. Whenever you need to think about something, listen, think of like a nice, cool, relaxing spot. Like I immediately take myself to Land's End in San Francisco, and ocean, sunset, the reflection of the water. I hear the ocean waves crashing. I go there. So, when you see me meditating, that's where I'm at. I'm at the beach, and there's no one around me but the music I'm listening to, and I'm just out. And that kind of helps with your stress level. Just a 5-minute break, just to kind of decompress yourself, makes a big difference, man. Writing down stuff to plan it out makes a big difference. I know some of us, including myself, I was at a point where I didn't necessarily like writing things down at one point, because it made me think, if I write this down, I might not have anything else to do later on. And I know that shit sounds weird to people, but some of us have this belief because we've been raised to think this way. If you're not doing anything, you're wasting the day. You're burning the midday oil, right? You're burning sunlight. So you always have to be busy to be productive. That was a mindset that I had, because that was a mindset that I grew up with. If you work smarter and categorize your day, most important to least important, and you knock everything out, the rest of the time is crucial, because the rest of the time goes to you, nobody else. So if you want to sit back and watch a movie and binge on your favorite Netflix show, do that. You earned that. You did everything you needed to do. Your workload is done. You're fine. If you want to go, okay, you know what? Now is the time I want to go for a walk. Go get your steps in. If you want to work on a hobby for you to do a side hustle, can't. If you want to sleep, cool. But I'm always going to suggest for people to, if you have any extra free time, dedicate that to creating a task or creating a craft that you've always wanted to, and be passionate about it. Don't make it into a job or an obligatory thing. Do it because you want to. You feel me? And that's that. So by monitoring your stress level, it also helps out with weight loss. So listen, if you choose, pick any 3 days and just say, listen, this is what we're going to do. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a bunch of fruit, a bunch of apples, a bunch of avocados, a bunch of oranges, a bunch of peaches, a bunch of pears, whatever. And we're going to eat. Cool. Water. Put lemon in your water. Lemon water is good for the alkaline, right? So you could even take lemon slices, squeeze lemon juice inside your water, put the slices in the water, and drink it from there, right? That'll help out. Add with flavor. Say with cucumbers. It's just something that helped me out, and it's actually pretty dope, and I feel great. When you get to a certain point in life, especially if you're sitting a lot, that's bad for you. But anyone who sits down a lot and you stand up, sometimes the knees, the ankles, the hips, the back, it's in pain. Shit. Have you, listen, you know your body is in bad shape, right? When you start to feel good and you worry. When you start to feel good, you feel no pain and you think something's wrong because you don't feel anything. That's a problem. So a lot of us have that issue. That's the goal, right? You're so used to it, you're grown accustomed to it, that once it's been removed, you find it being a problem. That's when you know, okay, it's time for me to change some shit up. So, the fruit diet. Give yourself 3 days, just 3 days. See how that makes you feel. I'm willing to bank. Yeah, you guys will actually be in some good shape. So, next thing I want to talk about real quick is the smart gun, which is crazy. It's a company based out of Colorado, and is a company called E.I.T.H.R. And E.I.T.H.R put this thing out. So I'm going to read this article from the Wall Street Journal. Okay. If you go to the E.I.T.H.R on Instagram, or if you go to the E.I.T.H.R on Twitter, there's a post for it. Twitter's changed the name. It's X. If you go to X, you'll see it. X, previously known as Twitter. Right? I feel like he's biting Prince with that shit. Anyway, you go there, you'll see the article, you see the link, you can read it yourself. But it says the first smart gun is finally coming to market. Will anyone buy it? I'm just going to read parts of the article. The rest of it you can. And no, I'm not going to select which side of the article best fits one side or the other. I'm just going to read it. You can determine it yourself. So, Sesha Wyson sleeps with a .40 caliber handgun and is safe by his bed. The commercial real estate broker from Florida recently pre-ordered a new type of firearm he hopes will make safe unnecessary. The new weapon is the Colorado startup BioFire's 9mm smart gun, which can only be fired if it recognizes an authorized user with a fingerprint reader on the grip or a facial recognition camera in the back. I'm going to skip Wiseman's little quote. Guns that use technology to ensure that they can only be fired by their owner, called smart guns, have been developed and debated since the 1990s. The BioFire smart gun will be first widely available for sale if it ships in December as planned. Proponents tout smart guns as a way to reduce accidental shootings and firearm thefts. Gun rights supporters have been wary, in part over concern that governments could outlaw sales of weapons that don't have smart gun technology. All right, so I'm going to stop right there for a quick second. The premise of this is beautiful because, like the article says, it can cut down on accidental suicides or fatal shootings by unauthorized handlers, kids, teenagers. It's pretty much custom fit to your fingerprint and or your facial. That's good. So if anything happens to the gun, no one else can use it. It'll be a paperweight, right? They cannot fire, shoot, kill anyone because it's not theirs. Here's the flip side to that, though. What if you wake up and you you ain't got the right makeup on and it doesn't recognize you? Whatever situation, right? And you go to the gym and you got a real good workout in. I mean, you sweat bullets, no pun intended. And your face is all ill because you had like one of those good ass workouts, right? You looking all ugly, smelling all ripe, and you need to get your gun. Well, your fingerprint probably won't work because your hands are doused in sweat and it's all mushy from the perspiration. And your face is all toe up because, well, you sweat your face off and it doesn't recognize your face. And the gun don't work. Damn. Oops. That's bad, right? So I'm sure there's got to be some type of a fail-safe backup plan. Again, this is the first time ever, so you have to expect there are going to be things that need to be worked out with that. I do like the idea. Now, for the gun lovers who hate this idea, here's my take on that. Those who oppose of this sale of technology type of firearm, because the belief is the less technology is obviously going to become obsolete and or banned and or illegal to use, because they're moving into this direction. It's like by the year 2035 in California, no more gas-fueled cars will be sold. Everything's going to be electric by 2035. It's like TVs. If you're old school with a rabbit ear television, you're not going to get any stations. Why? Because everything's going to be via app or smart television. So you're eventually going to be forced to buy these. That's the fear. My thing with that also is, I'm guessing people will think like that, want guns that can also not be traced. So if they do want to do something that's possibly frowned upon those in society, they want to be able to have weapons that they can get rid of, or weapons that won't be traced back to them. This type of caliber, my guess is going to be, there's going to be certain weapons, certain ammunition, certain rounds that are specifically for this type of gun. So if anything happens, it will be easier to trace. So there's a whole bunch of people who are going to hate that part, because they're going to feel like the government's tracking them, which to me, it's very, because those same folks have, from my ears, talked so negatively about those in the hood who get rid of guns with bodies and filed off serial numbers. That just, anyway, that's another topic. But yeah, that you kind of get what I'm getting at. It's there's a whole market of people that now it's going to affect them. It's going to be a problem. But they're not taking away your rights, are they? Or are they just monitoring you? I see it from both sides. I do see it as a monitoring position to see who has what gun and the kind of gun, kind of caliber, so on and so forth. I do see that. So that way, if the government does decide to do something shady, they know what kind of artillery you have, because it's been registered and they got your biometric to it. So therefore, they can counter it. I mean, listen, if you want to go that far into depth, I get where you're reaching for. But I understand that the optimistic side of it is they're trying to cut down on suicides and friendly fires and kids somehow getting a hold of a firearm, even if it's locked up and put away or hidden. At least that's the angle they're selling to the public. I get it. And it's kind of sad that the government kind of makes you very weary on whatever it is they do. But they kind of earned that. That's that. But I think it's a good thing. A little bit more in the article. It says, where we at? Here we go. It says, I hate when it does that. It wants me to get a subscription with the Wall Street Journal. I hate when it does that. This is dumb. I think I have a profile though. Hold on, let me see. This is going to be super annoying. I do. Thug life. Okay. So, where did I leave off? Okay, I left off right here. So it says, earlier efforts to bring smart guns to market have failed, largely because of pressure from gun rights activists or because they didn't work as promised. Again, it's new. It's the first of the wall is always going to be bloody. As with the other technologies such as electric cars that changed long-established products, the question for smart guns is whether they can work at least as well As traditional versions, they replace and find customers behind affluent early adapters. So, guns similar to these 9mm run anywhere between $400 to $800, right? These smart guns are going to run about $14.99, so $1,500. Yes, it's damn near twice to 3 times as much, but you're also paying for technology. I get it. So only select few will be able to have it. So again, if anything goes haywire, not everyone's going to be able to afford this or be willing to afford it. So if something goes haywire, it's easy to identify who has what, who did what. BioFire founder Kai Klofer, 26 years old. That's crazy. Has been working on the technology since he was a teenager. He said he built the fingerprint and facial recognition system so that if one function doesn't work because of a person's hands are wet or a person's face isn't yet in view, the other will. Okay, cool. So that was the one thing we talked about, like if you went to the gym. So if one doesn't work, you have the backup. Okay, cool. I guess that. My biggest thing is if you need it, neither one of them work, then what do you do? Like, is there a safety emergency? So, BioFire was founded in 2014 and has raised $30 million in funding from sources including venture capitalist Ron Conway, who has promoted smart gun technology since the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in 2012, and Peter Thiel's Founders Fund. The school shooting in Newton, Connecticut left 20 children and 6 adults dead. Like I said, the purpose of this was for situations like that. It's going to be different. It's going to be a huge change from what people are accustomed to. 100%. I get that. I do like it though. I do like it. I do believe it is going to be a good problem to have. It's just got to work out the bugs. And for those who are against it, I get it. Any bug they see, they're going to want to kill the program. Makes sense. Listen. But it is going to take time. What do you guys think about it? How do you feel about this smart gun idea? Do you think it's a pro? Do you think it's a con? Do you see more pros? Or do you see more cons? What do you see? What's your opinion? You can, like I said, you can comment on the section on Twitter. You can comment the section on Instagram. You can also download the Spreaker app and you can chat here on episode 128 and let me know what you think about the smart gun idea. Mitch McConnell was giving a speech to a politician. We're going to switch it up a little bit. And allegedly while he was giving a speech, he had a stroke during his speech. To me, that says a lot. And not because of his health issue. I mean, listen, a stroke can happen damn near anytime. A really good friend of mine, he had a stroke. And he's a year older than me. Right? So, you don't have to be of a quote unquote certain age for that shit to hit you. But what it did make me think is majority of the politicians who make the laws, who make the rules for your town, your city, your county, majority of them are a bunch of old bastards, right? And I know I said this before in another episode. Most of them, I can't say all because I don't know for sure all, but most of them don't come from the neighborhoods you or I come from. So the way they see the world is different than how we live in it. I've always been a proponent of somehow, some way to, if, goddamn, if the government truly wanted to make sure its people was taken care of, they will be a little bit more inclusive with the different demographic, age, geographic, gender, all those things, right? I listen. I subscribe to the theory and to the logic of Miss Jane Elliott, right? There's only one race. There's the human race. The breakdown of races that we have in this country, at least, is created by those who want to have division so they can have this hierarchy of who's superior, who's inferior. There's only one race. It's the human race. I feel, think, and believe, why not have a panel of elder and a panel all the way to younger, let's say 21, maybe 25. I think 25 will probably be better. With a combination of everything. I don't care what race. I don't care what color. I don't care your preference. The more the merrier, right? Because the people who are in charge, they pretty much look the same. They live the same. And for the most part, they think the same. Yet they're making laws and rules for people who don't live like them. They're creating rules for us to follow that is not that simple when you are living in it. And when we try to explain that, we're discredited and told to STFU. Or we're children. So I would create a panel of people and consult with this panel, if you will, on decisions based on laws that you guys want to create. That's me. But most of the people who are in politics, unfortunately, they are of a certain generation. They are of a certain age. They live in a certain area. So they're only given certain information. So they only see the world a certain way. I mentioned in the last episode, when I used to travel to small towns, right? What's his name? Jason Aldean, that song, whatever. Okay. They didn't know how to approach me. The reason being, I didn't match what they expected to happen. I didn't carry myself the way they thought I was going to carry myself based on my appearance. I was way more approachable than they expected me to be. Right? So when you experience something that's different than what you think, especially if it's positive, it fucks up everything that you thought was right. Right? It kind of sets you back. You get very defensive. You think it's a scam. You think it's a hoax. You think it's a fraud. It's like, no, bro, you just been fed wrong information. Now, again, there's going to be some people who provoke a certain reaction so they can justify, but then others who sit back and say, oh, right? That's what I think the government needs to do. But again, I said this several times before. The government's job is not to, it's to regulate. Their job is to do checks and balances. Their job is to, if we have to step in, that means you couldn't handle it. So we're going to do it the way we know how. That's why I'm such a proponent for, again, you guys kind of run your neighborhood the way your neighborhood needs to be ran according to those who live there, right? Accordingly. But if you can't see that a lot of these politicians, man, the rules that they come up with, a lot of the shit don't make sense. And some of it is just to get a rise out of us. It's just to get reactions out of us. It's just to get dialogue amongst us. Most of the time it's used to distract us. And we're so good at being distracted that we miss everything that's truly going on right now. So, speedy recovery to him for his stroke. But it kind of just, again, it reminded me like, man, a lot of the people who are making these rules, what world are they seeing? Right? They come up with this thought process of how society really is. When actuality, it's not like that. So I just thought that shit was kind of interesting to me. I don't know about you guys, but that's kind of how I felt about it. One last thing I want to end on this note is this. I was talking to a young lady yesterday named Stacy. Hey girl, hope you listening, hope you're enjoying it. And we were having a discussion about possibly starting a podcast with her and some of her coworkers. And a lot of people overthink when they want to do something that's different and new. Trust me, I overthunk when it came to creating Mile. I overthunk when it came to creating GNS Entertainment. I overthunk when it came to doing RTS. I overthunk when it came to writing the movie script and doing the animation film, and overthunk about doing the podcast. I overthunk about doing the publishing company. I had a lot of overthinking when I was thinking of what to do. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson once had a quote. He says, "Your story can start like this. One day or day one. Which is it going to be? One day or day one?" Right? I'm actually going to do that project one day. One day I am going to start that. When it's one day, there's no day in particular. There's no day specific. There's no day on the horizon. So therefore, it could be any given day. But you're not promised tomorrow. So it should be today. But you pick it to be one day and not today. Versus the other side, day one is the first step in your journey of life. This is day one of your new journey. Day one of your new adventure. Day one of you actually accomplishing the goal you have in mind, whatever it may be. And please believe, if you're waiting for something, you're never going to have the perfect time for that. It just ain't going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. Shout out to my homegirl Nicole, because she wants to do like this cooking business. And we were having a conversation where she, the size of her kitchen. I'm like, listen, your kitchen isn't too small. The fact of the matter is your thinking is. Your thinking is too small, not the area. You have this belief that it has to be ideal. The problem is you don't know what ideal is yet because you haven't started. And anyone who has anxiety, hi, me, you have 11,000 different ideas and 11,000 ways to process it. And it needs to be done half an hour ago. So you don't know where to start, you don't know where to finish, so everything's half-assed. And you never get to it. And everything has the same due date. You can't do that to yourself. I said yesterday, focus on the step in front of you, not the entire staircase. Create it. When we have these plans, especially those of us with anxiety, you tend to have this belief. Everyone's expecting you to have something done by a certain time. Here's the problem. That's not true. You created the expectation, and then you filled in everybody else in the space of the audience. You're the one who started that clock. You're the one who's holding the microscope that people are looking at you through. They're not paying any attention because they're caught up in their own lives anyway. So, understand, they don't give a fuck when you finish it. Hell, they didn't even know you about to start it until you told them. There is no expectation except for the pressure you put on yourself. So if you want to create a podcast, if you want to create your own infused whatever it is, if you want to do your own drawing, painting, create your own, if you want, do whatever, do it. Do it. Haters are going to hate. And if the internet / social media has taught you anything, it's people are going to have an opinion no matter what you do. It doesn't matter what it is you do. LL Cool J once said, if you do something for the response or reaction of other people, you're constantly going to be at wit's end. You're going to feel like you failed. Because if you're trying to please everybody, you're going to please nobody. But if you create art from your passion, from your heart, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks because you're doing it for you. This is what you felt. This is what you love. This is what you're going to do. And I'm telling you right now, another issue people have is, I don't know where to start. My thing is, start something. Start something and go from there. Because you see so many different landing spots for what it is you want to do. My thing is, okay, to narrow it down. Knock this task out. And then once you've finished, you'll see where else you need to be taken. Take advice from those who have succeeded at something you have yet to attain. That's my opinion. Take advice from someone who you know have succeeded at what you're trying to attempt. That's the best thing you can do because they have been down the path you have yet to travel. Boom. Do that. Right? My A1 always, I'm everyone's cheerleader, right? And I don't ever want to see somebody give up on something because the world said whatever. There's a podcaster named Wallow. Mad respect for this dude out in Philadelphia. He was like, there's like 8 billion people on the planet and you're getting discouraged because of 20 motherfuckers didn't like it. 8 billion people on this planet and 20 people didn't like it. So therefore, no one does. You better go talk to those 20 billion. Or, you know what I'm saying? Instead of those, that 8 billion instead of those 20 people. Right? And one thing people who have created their own understand. Most of the time, not all the time, most of the time, those who don't know you, they'll be the biggest supporters. And once the people you do know see strangers supporting, then they'll jump in. It's a fear of loss, right? Or today's world, they call it FOMO. FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So don't cripple yourself with fear. Strengthen yourself with courage, right? It's a project. It's fun. Don't see it as I need to make $20 million doing this shit. No, see it as I'm going to do this for fun because I've always wanted to do this. See how it turns out, right? Out in Chicago, my C, she is really good with like these type of paintings, right? Like she'll do these paintings and then she'll have like this 3D whatever. Like she'll create these ribbons and these designs that 3D out of the phone. Yo, it's really, really good. It's really nice. She swore up and down it wasn't that good. It was this, that, and the other. She started posting it on social media. Man, did people buy her paintings more than she thought they would. I'm like, all you had to do was start something. Now she can't keep paintings at home. Good for her. Right? So listen, man. If you are an introvert, if you are a OCD, if you are a ADHD, if you are an ADD, if you are a BBD, if you are an whatever acronym you want to give yourself, right? HBD, OPP, yeah, you know me. I'm telling you, man, your 86 scenarios you created all in your head by your goddamn self for no reason. And 90 of them don't even exist. Start it. Do it. Make it happen. And by the time you finish, you're going to look back at it and be like, damn, I wasn't that bad at all. Like, yes, he told you. There's this video I watched of this kid. He's like in this pool or this river or something, and he's holding onto this rope, and his feet are up. So it's kind of like in this dip, right? So his feet and his legs go under the water, and his head comes up out the water. And he's holding on for dear life because he doesn't want to fall. He doesn't want to drown. He doesn't want to fall into the water because he can't breathe. He's crying. And I want to say it's like maybe his sister. She like leans down, puts her hand like on his back, pushes his feet under the water and stands him up. And then he stops crying automatically. It kind of looks like you can tell how sheepishly embarrassed he was. Right? All you had to do was stand up, bro. You wasn't going to drown. Stand up. See what happens. Stand on your own too and see where that gets you. Oh, look. It wasn't as bad as you thought it was. And I think a lot of us do that in our minds. One thing I learned in my time on this earth is this. Some problems, some anxieties, some nerve-wracking situations, sometimes they can grow to be the good problems, right? When you have so many people who want your product or your service and you don't have enough time for that, that's a good problem. When you have a lot of people who are encouraging you to do something, that's a good problem. Also, though, T.I. once said, if everybody sees your vision and sees what it is that you want to do, find a different plan. Because if everyone can see it, that means everyone can see it. The beauty about having somebody's plans what no one can see is you prove them wrong and show them, okay, well, this is what's been missing. If everyone can see it the way you do, it's not as original or authentic as you thought it was. So, listen. One day or day one, how will your story start? It's your boy D-Cal from the E.I.T.H.R podcast. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, GNSETV, free subscription, sign up. You guys have an awesome weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next time, episode 129.